kind of like the dog.
Yeah, the dog is just
Very
relaxing.
Yeah.
Just relaxing.
So are there other questions?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a bit. Um, Maybe one other question about the spiritual impact of these sessions for you.
It's interesting because I was I was just sitting here thinking, I wonder if I should mention something about the spiritual impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, sometimes I'm very interested in the realm of spirit, and I'm very interested in experiencing the world of oneness. So the whole feeling like the whole world's connected and every element is connected to every other element. And so that's been an ongoing perception for a few years now. And I was just feeling a little bit of that tension release out of the sternum just then. I would say that one thing kind of interesting for me over the past week and a half, about a week and a half, was I was introduced to this musician whose name is Knuckle Bear, and he's got his band is called Medicine for People.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to one of his songs, and I think it's called Darkest Night or Blackest Night. And I noticed I had a really deep response to the words and the way it was played, and I found myself needing to listen to it again, and then needing to listen to it again, and then needing to listen to it again. And I've noticed like how different, how the effect of sound, how it's different. Like how I'm really present with music, and especially the majority of the music I listen to is music to, bring about deeper states of relaxation or peace or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed how much more effective music has been. I feel like things are changing,
Mm-hmm.
but they're changing so fast
Mm-hmm.
that I can't even put them to words. So I know that there are changes going on relative to the world of spirituality, but I couldn't even put it into words. I just recognized the change, and I recognize just this profound feeling of peacefulness. Like even as I say that, and I'm on the machine right now, so it's turned on, and so I'm having the experience while talking about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I notice is just this profound feeling of peacefulness. And that really began coming, noticing that feeling more and more after the first couple sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would seem to bring up a feeling of disturbance sometimes for
Mm-hmm.
a day,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe 2 days, but I was used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But then the deeper state that I would go into, I wasn't used to that. And I've done yoga, and I've done meditation, and I've done chanting, and I've done a variety of different things to go to that deeper state.
Mm-hmm.
And this machine seems to just take me into that deeper state.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice that I'm more interested in the conversations that you and I have
Yeah.
when I'm on this machine. I mean, I like our conversations otherwise, but when I'm on this machine, the conversations, they're almost better, or I'm more present, or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed that. And just I've noticed my relationship with people is so different now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been around people for, I've been practicing chiropractic, in an office for 34 years. And so I've been around quite a few people. So I'm very aware of how different it is for me now, and how much more present I am, and how much less of a persona that I have. Like, I think when you grow people who grow up in traumatic situations,
Mm-hmm.
which I grew up in a traumatic situation. A lot of things happened to me as a child that I have heard defined as acute childhood events. And I had quite a childhood of these, and so spent most of my life coming out of that,
Mm-hmm.
coming out of that trauma. And I think when people grow up in trauma, they develop a personality that makes them feel safe. So they try different things out. And I was always experimenting with different ways of being and finding out the ones that felt safe and the ones that didn't feel safe.
Right.
I noticed cocky was not a safe one for me.
Yeah.
Because if I started getting cocky, I'd get beat up.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, okay, cocky's not a good one, so I kind of let go of cocky. But I found the ones that did allow me to feel safe amongst people. And I would say that I feel like I have less of a persona. Like I have less of an identity as a personality, and more of an awareness of the fact that I am something,
Mm-hmm.
being or whatever, in a human body. But I no longer feel like I'm playing roles.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm role playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that has shifted fairly recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I still kick into, like sometimes we have developed some personality that we have with a particular person.
Right.
And so when we go be with that particular person, we kick into that personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding certain people I've spent a fair amount of time with, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
And I'm just being present.
Mm-hmm.
And I like being present like a whole lot more than stepping into a role,
Right.
acting
Right.
something out.
Right. And do you feel that this is a direct intervention of spirit that has led you to this presence versus role play or personality?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the feeling of being present feels like it's enough. And so therefore and for the most part I feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
continuously.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not had that experience before,
Mm-hmm.
where I've just felt safe all the time,
Mm-hmm.
safe in any situation. I found myself wanting to be alone more than I, have in the past. And so that's been really useful. And I find myself less judgmental
Mm-hmm.
of myself and others. So I'm just not judging myself or people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really affected that's really affected my conversations with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice a difference
Mm-hmm.
in how I'm speaking with them. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know in terms of the term spirit. I'm starting, I've had this awareness that it's all one thing. That's been just kind of a growing awareness, like it's just everything's connected, that feeling. And so spirit, I mean, to me it's all spirit. There's incarnate beings and non-incarnate beings, and I feel like I have relationship with all of them, but I have much better relationships now with incarnate beings than I had before. I think I always had a fairly comfortable relationship,
Mm-hmm.
growing comfort with beings that aren't in bodies. And
Right.
I felt guided, my whole life by some type of guidance from other realms. And so that's been present ever since I was a child. I remember feeling, having conversations with imaginary friends. But my imaginary friends gave me really good advice how to get through situations, and they kind of felt like they guided me. So that's probably what the spiritual realm is for me,
Mm-hmm.
is the awareness that it's not just us on the planet trying to be present while things work out. It's others that are there to assist us
Mm-hmm.
if we ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have to ask for it. Otherwise, I think the rule is it's a free will plane.
Right.
We can't affect it,
Right.
but we can assist you, and you can affect it because you're living in it.
Right.
So I think I've been more aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's been a growing awareness, but I think it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more willing to listen,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to advice that I feel like I get from my guides.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in conversations with people, I'm less adversarial.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I don't feel adversarial at all. And sometimes I'll find someone really respond to me I'll say something and it'll mean a certain thing to them, and they'll object to what it means to them,
Mm-hmm.
which is what people do in conversation.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, we're not objecting to what the person says,
Mm-hmm.
we're objecting to what we make up is the meaning behind what they're saying.
Right.
So oftentimes we're objecting to something the person never even really said. I've been aware of that, where a person will object to something, and then rather than get defensive about what I said, I'll ask them, well, what did that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll tell me, and then I'll realize, well, that wasn't the meaning I was intending by what I said.
Yeah.
And then I'll explain to them what, I meant. It didn't come across that way, but this is what I meant to be saying. And they'll go, oh, well, that's totally different. So it's really led to some really good conversations with people, especially when I'm not in, the defensive position that I feel like I was always in.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I always had to defend myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a big change.
Now,